Hi, my name is Sydney Conley, and this is my book talk presentation on disabled characters in children's literature. Every child deserves to see characters who reflect their experiences, challenges, and strengths. This presentation highlights books that feature disabled characters, which promotes empathy, inclusion, and understanding. I will talk about several titles that show disability not as a limitation, but just as one part of a character's identity. All of these stories offer meaningful ways to start conversations and show that representation matters. The first book I want to highlight is Benji, the Bad Day, and Me by Sally J. Pla. Sammy, our main character, is having a really bad day. After some unfortunate events at school, he has to walk home in the pouring rain and walks into his house and realizes that his brother Benji is having a bad day too. Benji has autism and deals with his bad days by sitting in his special box where he feels the most safe. Sammy is disappointed that he doesn't have a special box that he can sit in. As his day continues to get worse, Benji, his little brother, realizes and decides to help Sammy feel better. Benji does what his family does for him when he has a bad day and ends up wrapping Sammy up like a burrito and laying with him until he feels better. Some of the relevant themes in this story are empathy and compassion, which is shown by Benji. Self-regulation also is talked about with both of the boys trying to regulate their feelings. The importance of kindness, especially in this brother bond, and neurodiversity with Benji's autism. Moses Goes to a Concert is about our main character Moses, who is deaf. He is taking a field trip to a concert with his classmates who are also deaf. Moses really likes listening to music and playing music because he can feel the vibrations, mainly through his bare feet. When the class goes to the concert, Moses discovers that one of the musicians is also deaf when he sees her playing music in bare feet. Moses' teacher passes out balloons so that the students can hold them in their hands and feel the vibrations of the music. After the show, all the students get to go on stage and play the instruments and talk to the musicians. This is a really interesting story because it includes American Sign Language translations and shows readers how they can sign the sentences themselves. Some of the relevant themes are inclusion and accessibility, like using the balloons to feel the vibrations, the power of music, especially for this population of people, people that are deaf, and identity and creative expression, all through music. The Black Book of Colors is a really interesting book as well. It is made up of black pages with raised illustrations and has written words but also braille. It's meant to be an interactive experience that asks readers to use their senses to understand the story and immerse themselves in the descriptions. Relevant themes are perception and using your senses, accessibility and inclusion, including the braille and the raised illustrations, using your imagination, and having a connection to nature, especially when talking about those senses that we can use in nature. The last book I'm going to highlight is What Happened to You. In What Happened to You, Joe is enjoying playing his favorite game at the park, Pirates, and another child walks up to him and asks what happened to his leg. As we can see in the illustrations, he is missing one leg. He doesn't feel like talking about it, but then more and more children start asking where his leg is, what happened to it, and speculating all of the different situations that may have happened to Joe. Joe gets a little frustrated and refuses to answer the question and instead just continues to play. After the children receive no answer about his leg, they decide to just move on and play with him instead. That's when they realize that they don't really need to know what happened to his leg in order to have fun together. Relevant themes in this story are acceptance and inclusion, as they all play together in the end, respect for privacy. It's very clear that Joe does not want to talk about it and he gets frustrated, and then the children realize that they don't need to know what happened to his leg, and instead that can be private. Also diverse friendships and a sense of belonging. For further examples of disability in children's literature, we have The Beach is Loud by Samantha Cotterill, which has representation of autism. My Ocean is Blue by Darren LaBeouf with representation of cerebral palsy. Best Day Ever by Marilyn Singer with representation of wheelchair users. And We Move Together by Kelly Fritsch and Anne McGuire, which has representation of disabled bodies.